Hi, welcome to Tasty Tiger. I am Chef JC and this is Chef Abby, and we are going to be cooking a pan-seared steak basted with garlic and herbs.
As you can see, we've already pre-prepared all of the ingredients we'll need for today. So what you will need is one 3 to 5 ounce steak. Here we have a New York strip, but feel free to grab any of your own favorites, such as a ribeye or a sirloin or anything like that. You will also need 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 to 3 sprigs of thyme, 2 to 3 sprigs of thyme, 2 to 3 sprigs of rosemary, 2 garlic cloves, and 1 scallion.
And then you're going to want to grab your cast iron pan and turn your heat up to high. And then once you have your heat on high, you're going to want to grab your oil. And once you have your oil, you're going to want to put it on there so it covers the whole base. And then once you have that on there, once it starts smoking, it should be ready for you to add your steak.
Alright, so before you add your steak to the pan, you're going to want to pat your steak dry with a few paper towels. It doesn't need to be anything too fancy. You just want to make sure that the browning process turns out on the steak so it's not super greasy and the oils become too much. So yeah, and we forgot salt. So just keep patting that steak really dry. Make sure all the juices are out. And once you're done with that, you can just discard the towels. So now you're gonna wanna season your steak with salt. Nothing else more, just salt, because we don't wanna use pepper or anything like that because pepper will burn when cooking on the hot flames. And salt really brings out the flavor in the steak, so that's why we only use salt. And once you're done with that, you're gonna wanna add it to your pan on the salted side down, and then salt your other side once it's down.
And then once it's sitting on there, you're going to let it sit for 1 minute to 2 minutes, and then flip it down and press it down so it cooks thoroughly, so the meat can tenderize. And then once you're waiting for that, you're going to want to take your garlic, put it on your cutting board, and put your knife down flat. And then once you have it, you're going to smash it and just peel the skin off. And it should look like this when you're done.
And you'll continue with that if you have more than 1 clove. We did that beforehand. As you can see, I'm pressing down all over the steak just to make sure that it's cooked thoroughly and evenly throughout the meat. And once you can see that it's kind of browned on the other side, you can go ahead and flip it over and do the exact same thing.
So when that's cooking, you're going to want to get your plate ready to move your steak over to your plate and add the tin foil.
There's a little bit more. Alright, so now that the browning process is done, you can go ahead and take your steak right off of the pan and place it on your plate. Once that's on the plate, you're gonna cover it with a sheet of tin foil just to kind of like trap the heat inside and make sure that it stays nice and warm, and also to help the muscles that are all tensed up because of the heat, help that relax and tenderize as they sit. So
now we're gonna start the basting process, which you just add your butter and let it fully melt.
You're also going to want to turn your heat down very low.
To a low medium.
Alright, now that the butter is almost completely melted, you can go ahead and add your sprigs of thyme and your sprigs of rosemary along with your garlic cloves. And just stir that around, creating a nice mixture of all that flavor.
Making sure to keep your area clean too.
Alright. And now that those have been sitting in there for a little bit, you can go ahead and add your steak back into the pan. Doesn't matter which side. So you're gonna let the mixture kind of absorb into the steak, and once it's been like a few seconds, honestly, you're gonna use a cloth to hold the pan handle just because we don't want to burn ourselves during this process. And you're going to slowly move the pan up towards you in a like kind of a diagonal angle. And you're going to take a spoon and place the rosemary and thyme over top of the steak to kind of get that flavor in there, as well as the garlic. And using the same spoon, you're going to lift the butter mixture up and throw that on top of the steak, allowing the mixture to kind of like absorb into the steak while it's still cooking on the bottom. And we'll do this for about 30 seconds. Alright, so you're going to take your mixture off, flip your steak, and repeat the same process on the other side.
When the steak is almost done basting, you're going to want to grab your plate that you've been using the whole time and grab the tin foil and just be ready for the steak to finish.
So once that's done, you're going to turn your heat off. And you're going to move your mixture off. And move your steak back to the plate that it was on.
And you're going to want to cover it in the tin foil again. Keep the heat trapped.
And while we wait for the muscles to relax on that steak, JC will be explaining the garnishing part.
So what you're gonna want to do, you want to grab that and you're gonna want to take your knife, cut the white end off. You're gonna want to roll it into a long, like rolled up piece. And once you have that, you're gonna chef nod through.
We'll do this with the other piece just since we didn't get enough. And now that that's done, you can grab your plate again with your steak on it. Grab a different plate for your plating, just so it's clean, looks nice. And you're gonna take off the tin foil, place that steak right on your plate. And now all that needs to be done is the garnishing part. So take your freshly cut scallion and garnish it however you want. We're just gonna put it right on top of there, giving it a kind of little pop of color. So, yeah, and you're done. Thank you for watching.